Hello, my friends. Welcome today to PM Landscape. This is really to give you a shortcut of sorts for your exam, especially those of you that have limited time. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic of risk management. So in risk management, to give you the landscape really quick, you are going to plan how to manage risks. In planning how to manage risks, you're also going to carry out certain tasks such as identifying the risks and doing an analysis of the risk, okay? And then you are going to decide how to attack those risks. Sometimes you just do nothing. Sometimes you do a whole lot. So the mnemonic for how to attack the risks is A-team. This is your big takeaway to help you remember the components, what you do. You could avoid the risk. You could transfer the risk to a third party. You could escalate the risk to senior management or someone in a portfolio or program. You could accept the risk. You could have a passive accept or an active accept, and then you can mitigate the risk. This is pretty much what you do when you plan. You identify the risks, you analyze them, and you decide, what are we going to do about all these risks? Especially the top ones. Some companies, they have a threshold, and the risks that are not huge in terms of probability or impact are put to the bottom of the risk log. And those that are really top, big risks, those get to the top of the risk register. And then we carry out some of these transfer or avoid, or we actually go after those things. All right, so that's your mnemonic, A-team. Now, the last thing you do in risk management, after you've decided how to attack the risks, you then have to implement these responses for the negative risks. You carry out the response. Whatever you said you were going to do, you do. You spring into action, right? So whoever is carrying out those risk responses is going to do that. They're going to implement the response. And then in the next process, which we call monitor risks, we're going to keep our eye on those risks. And we're going to make sure they're exactly where we left them. They haven't changed. If they have changed in some way, we're going to update. So when you think about it, the processes in risk are either planning and executing component where we implement, or we're monitoring the risk. It's that simple. Now, to go a little bit deeper, I'll give you at a high level. We plan risk management. We decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to counteract risks in general. This is how we are going to approach the risk. So in your plan and risk management, this is where you decide how to identify, how to analyze, how to document, how frequently you'll be meeting, right? You decide the risk meetings, and you decide the format of your risk documentation. That's pretty much plan risk management. Okay, and then we go into the identification of the risks. We have this configuration called the cause, risk, and effect model. It's not enough to say, oh, this risk could happen. No, you need to know the cause and you need to know the effect in addition to the risk. So the cause, risk, effect model is important. So someone says, there's a risk that the code could be poorly written, okay? What could cause that? The schedule, we're in a hurry. And what is the effect? You can categorize in terms of how it will affect the schedule, how it will affect the cost, rework, things like that. The next thing you go into is the qualitative and the quantitative risk analysis. So you're going to take a look at risk from these two perspectives. Qualitative is more of a risk score. Quantitative is more of the expected monetary value. Watch the word monetary. So we talk about probability in percent times impact in dollars to give what we call the EMV, or the risk magnitude. Qualitative, on the other hand, is milder. It's easier. We take a look at a scale of 1 to 5. We say the probability on a scale of 1 to 5 is a 3. The impact on a scale of 1 to 5 is a 2. We multiply them, we get a 6. That is your risk score, right? The probability times the impact is your risk score. Now, you could talk about the impact from a variety of perspectives. You could say the impact in terms of cost, in terms of schedule, in terms of scope, and so on and so forth. But you got to summarize it And the team needs to decide, okay, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at the probability or the impact in terms of cost, in terms of schedule, in terms of scope? All right. So after you've done your qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, hopefully the qualitative is going to help you to rank the risks, do a first pass, and then the quantitative, you take a look at the top risks from the qualitative, and then you find out the quantitative information for those. But the key thing about quantitative is it helps you see the aggregate effect of risks on the project. So when you take a look at quantitative, you're going to understand what is the aggregate effect of risks on the project. Imagine these risks come at you. What will be the impact if these things happened in different combinations? And this is best seen in a Monte Carlo. Okay, so you got to understand the purpose of the Monte Carlo. All right, the next thing that happens is we do a plan, risk, responses. How are we going to respond to the risk? So you got to ask yourself, this is where the A-team thing comes in. This is where we can either avoid, we could transfer, we could escalate, we could accept, we could mitigate. Just remember, with accept, you've got passive accept, you've got active accept. And then you could also talk about the positive risks. Positive risks or opportunities, you could escalate, you can accept those as well, escalate, accept, share, exploit, enhance. This is for positive risks. So we call positive risks opportunities. You also need to think about those too. Anyway, that's for a different day, or look for other videos I have on that. The next thing is you're going to implement those risk responses. So again, someone's got to do the legwork, someone's got to carry out. We call that the risk response owner or the risk action owner. So the question is, who is a risk action owner? That person reports to a risk owner, the person whose objectives are going to be most likely impacted by that risk. Finally, after you've implemented the response, this is where we monitor our risks. So we're going to monitor our risks. We can't control our risks. So the key word is monitor. We're going to take a look at them and say, they're right where we left them. Have they changed? Is it better or worse? We could do an analysis of our technical achievements, and we could see, are we on schedule to deliver these technical milestones, or are we off? And if you're off, that could be an indication of new risks. So what do we do in monitor risk? We also document new risks, and we add those to the risk register, so on and so forth. All right. I hope you enjoy this. This is a very quick review to help ease your mind. I know many of you, you're freaking out. You're worried about the big old gargantuan PMBOK 6th edition. Stop worrying about it, my friends. Watch my videos. Listen to my 1-minute summaries. That is all you need. And hey, do a search for my PMBOK mainline. That will really help you. The PMBOK mainline. Just watch any of those videos. It's going to cut the crud. There's so much crud now because the exam doesn't focus on what it used to. Okay. And look out for my video on what not to study for the exam. All right. Take care. Bye for now.